Thank you all very much. We're going to follow that up with another light classical piece written by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. It's from his famous Eine kleine Nacht music suite, a little night music, and appropriately for this evening. But we're not going to do the famous first movement. We'll do the second movement, Romance. Interestingly, I found out that this piece actually had 5 movements, but only 4 were published. And this piece of music did not receive publication while Mozart was still living. He passed away. His wife needed some money and sold a bunch of his music to a publisher, who then, about 40 years later, actually got it published and played. So now play the beautiful Romance from Eine kleine Nachtmusik. Well, we almost timed it perfectly to finish before the helicopter took off. This is also National Night Out, and so there's, this setting is just so great for so many activities here in Monona, and to be a part of it is just really great. I don't know if the helicopter will be coming back, but if it does, we might stop and take a look at it, and then continue with our program. We're going to move to the Broadway stage and do some musical theater. And we're going to start with a couple selections from the first Broadway musical that was written by Rodgers and Hammerstein. They'd previously been working independently with others. They got together and wrote Oklahoma, their first Broadway show together. We're going to do two quick selections. The first, Oh, What a Beautiful Morning, followed by Oklahoma. All right, admit it. How many of you were singing along with that one while we were playing? Yep, absolutely. Yeah, just fantastic. One we're going to stay on the stage and go to another musical. And this one, let's see, was written and premiered in 1957. So you can start making your predictions now. It was a new musical that premiered, and it set the Romeo and Juliet story into the streets of modern-day New York City. And I know you just now elbowed the person next to you saying, I know this one, I know what it is. However, back in 1950, the story was being developed, and it was being developed with a different title. And it was actually being developed as East Side Story, according to my research. And it set the two principal characters were of different religious backgrounds. And the writing kind of evolved and then got into the current West Side Story that we know today. We're going to perform two selections. The first one is Tonight, and then we'll follow that with America. This is Leonard Bernstein's selections from West Side Story. I'm sure you've all found the food, but just a shout out, lots of food opportunities available to you tonight. So please give them a visit. Plus popcorn right up here, and yeah, we're not a stuffy formal concert, so you can get up and move around. While we're playing, it's okay. We're going to leave the Broadway stage and move to the big screen of the movie theater. This past year, one movie received a record-tying 14 Oscar nominations and was a winner in 6 of those categories, including original score and original song. Do you know the movie? You've got it. Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to play selections from La La Land. The medley that we'll be playing tonight will include the infectious songs of Another Day of Sun, City of Stars, Me and Sebastian's Theme, and The Audition, or The Fools Who Dream. So now, selections from La La Land. So I'm going to call Judy back up, and we'll talk to you a little bit about a thing we do at these concerts in the park.
Hopefully this time you might be able to hear me. We are sponsors. We are the Friends of the Monona Senior Center, and we also help with sponsorships for the Senior Center and the programs that it offers. So we will be coming around with our purple buckets, and if you'd like to donate, we'd be more than happy to have your help. Thank you, and keep on enjoying your day.
So our next two selections were by composers whose early musical training was on the accordion. And the first piece is written by the Argentinian-born Astor Piazzolla, an accordion player. He grew up in New York City in the early 20s and was exposed to a lot of great jazz, Duke Ellington and Cab Calloway. He excelled on the instrument that was the bandoneon, a button accordion, and he studied it and was a fan of the classical composers. He moved back to Argentina and really became to the tango, such as Duke Ellington was to jazz. One of his best-known pieces is the Libertango, and it's an example of this kind of new tango nouveau, that he was kind of breaking away from the classical tradition of the tango and really pushing the boundaries. So we'll perform what did I just call it? Yeah, the Libertango. And then I'll tell you a little bit more about our next accordion player. So here's Astor Piazzolla's Libertango. So I mentioned that we'd follow that up with another piece by a gentleman that got his start on the accordion. But I thought, it's important to know, who are we up here playing? It says Carl Davick and Friends, and it's only because we can't get all the names on the sign. So let me just tell you who we are. We get together for a couple times. We have a great deal of fun rehearsing, playing, and just having a great time being together. So playing violin, Marie McCarty, Jessica Wall, Sarah Case, Leanna Hershey, Erica Meyer, Kathy Punwar, Janet Heineman, Naomi Hassan, Annika Davick, and Ashley Milanese. Our violin section. Our violists are Rachel Shields, Lindsay Bly, and Jill Way. In the cello section, Peter Case and James Wesson. And in our bass section, Ben Ferris. And all these fine musicians are educators, teachers, students, recent graduates, and just really enjoy playing and do it so well. So thank you all for being my friends and playing. So we'll now go ahead and we're going to do this piece. Joe Zawinul, famous for starting the band Weather Report, but this guy was born in Vienna, started on the accordion, great skills, and took those skills to a scholarship at Berklee School of Music. And he wasn't there long because then he was picked by Maynard Ferguson to join his band, and then he just kept writing and really kind of introduced the synthesizer keyboard into that 70s jazz genre. One of his great hits is Mercy, 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 and we'll perform that tonight. Doing solos tonight are Jessica Wall, Kathy Punwar, Peter Case, Rachel Shields, and Ben Ferris. we've got a couple more that we'll play tonight. The first has, well, they both really have a folk influence. The first one is the final movement from Gustav Holst's St. Paul's Suite. It's the movement that's entitled the Dargason. That was a 16th century folk tune, and Holst made an arrangement out of this. And then he also included the English folk song Greensleeves into the mix. For those of you that are familiar with the contemporary duo, the Piano Guys, they do a lot of this right now. They've got a tune, and they'll add another one in kind of a mashup. Well, Holst beat him to the punch. He was doing it, with his music. So we'll perform the Dargason from Holst's St. Paul's Suite. Can you hear that buzz? Yes? No? Yeah, I don't know what it is. We might take a minute to try to figure it out, and if we can't figure it out, then we'll just go ahead. But we're going to take just a second to see if we can figure out what that buzz is all about. We'll try to drown that out with our playing. So we'll carry on with the Dargason. I'm going to do a couple thank yous, and I know Judy's got one last thing to say as well. But a thank you to Oak Park Place and Judy and Diane at the Senior Center and Jacob Anderson and his crew for not only tonight and helping us with everything, but the whole summer concert series. It's such a fantastic setting on these beautiful nights, and with good fortune we've been able to get, I think, most of them in. Also want to thank Justin and Will from Monona Grove and City of Monona Audio and Visual for their help tonight. So helpful to have them. And a promo, this Saturday, the 19th, is the Food Cart Cinema. And that's going to be over at the Fireman's Park Shelter. So we'll hope for good weather for that. Again, food carts, and I don't know the movie playing, but come check it out. And Judy?
Thank you so much for coming and enjoying the Winnequah Park series that we've had for this whole summer. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you to our band. They've done a great job for us. Give them a round of applause, please. If you would like to have any more information on the Friends of the Monona Senior Center, we also will be having a fabulous fashion show on September 14th. So if you're interested, please call the Senior Center to reserve your spot. Love to see you. Have a great day, and thank you. We also have information from R&M Advisors over on the popcorn and water table if you would like some information to take with you. Have a great summer, what's left, and thank you very much for a great performance.
So our last tune tonight is going to be another kind of folk tune written by the Wisconsin composer Randy Sabine. He lives up in the Hayward area, and it's a fiery fiddle tune and represents a little bit of the northern Wisconsin heritage in the state's early statehood. It's entitled Washburn County. Thank you all very much. The food carts are still open, so you can get some and just enjoy the rest of this beautiful night. Thanks for coming out and hearing our program. Thank you again.
Thank you also very much.